Hello, Paul McHugh with Rayo Cook Heating and Air. We wanted to take a few minutes and go through what a capacitor does on your air conditioning system. Capacitors are common points of failure in all residential cooling systems. Before we continue, we want to stress the fact that your capacitor is connected to high voltage electricity, and at no time should any individual attempt this repair unless they are trained and know how to deal with high voltage electricity. Injury or death can occur. This is definitely one of those repairs you want to leave up to the professionals. First, let's look at what a capacitor does. A capacitor is a device that looks like a very large battery. It is used to store a differential charge on two opposing metal plates inside of it. These very thin plates are separated with a thin layer of plastic, and the entire assembly is suspended in oil to keep it cool. The capacitor stores and releases energy. This storage and releasing of energy is what gets a motor moving. There are a few motors in your AC system. Your outdoor unit usually has two: a motor inside of your compressor and a fan motor that moves the air across your outside coil. There is a good chance both of these motors have a capacitor. Depending on the age of your indoor unit, your indoor fan motor may have a capacitor as well. If a capacitor fails, the motor that it is connected to usually will not work. If a motor fails, you will have no air conditioning. Additionally, a failing capacitor can cause a motor to run hot. Motors that run hot will experience a much shorter lifespan. Depending on the motor, replacement cost of that motor could be $500 to $1,500. The motor inside your compressor is sealed inside the compressor. The entire compressor would need to be replaced, which can cost up to $4,500. Your Rayo Cook technician can test your capacitors to make sure they are within a specified range. If the capacitor is found to be outside of this range, replacement of the capacitor is strongly recommended. Any capacitor that is found to be out of an acceptable testing range will cause failure of your air conditioning system and may cause additional motor failure. Furthermore, one of your capacitors may fail the simplest of tests, which is visual. A capacitor that is leaking oil should be replaced immediately. A capacitor that is swollen should be replaced immediately as well. It is important to replace the capacitor with the correct rated capacitor for the motor that it is connected to. Installing a new capacitor that is not correct for the motor it is connected to can cause motor damage or failure. Your technician will size your new capacitor to the specifications of the motor that we are connecting it to. Without question, capacitors tend to be one of the most common failure points in modern residential heating and cooling units. Furthermore, damage to your equipment and breakdowns can be prevented by proactively replacing failing capacitors.